Hello, Guardians, and welcome to Destiny Reset, episode 139. This podcast is about anything and everything related to the Destiny franchise. If you love playing Destiny 2 as much as we do, you're in the right place. This reset, we welcome special guest Houndish to the show, talk Nightfall strategy and rewards, and finally get to talk about going fast and the hot new update. Hello, Guardians, and welcome. It's AER0KNIGHT, and of course, CyborgSasquatch is here too. What's up, dude?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good, man. How's your week?
It is a week. It's been a long week, but a fun one.
Yep. It always seems like
going so fast.
Busy weeks, man, when stuff's going on in the Destiny worlds. It's like you feel like you can't get quite enough playtime in.
You never can. Let's be honest.
Right.
It's never enough time.
Right.
But I got some time, and I have enjoyed
going
my
fast?
time in the past week going fast. Yup.
Super fast?
Super fast. Strafing faster than ever.
It's not just the two of us this week.
That's right. We got a guest.
We have a very special guest. Well, I'm sure many of you listeners have heard of this guy before. Houndish. Mr. Houndish, how you doing?
How's it going, guys? I appreciate you having me on.
Of course, dude. It's our pleasure, man. Definitely.
And calling me a very special guest. That's quite kind.
It'll say that on the thumbnail too. So
Ooh.
Don't let it go to your head.
I'll try and keep it in check.
Yeah, well, we're excited to have you on, man. We watch your content. If you guys don't know who Houndish is, he is a YouTube fiend. He releases practically daily Destiny content, right?
Yeah, man. Pretty much. Somehow.
Which is a tall order in this day and age.
It's
totally
quite the challenge. But you know what? Instead of us, we're fans. I don't remember when I stumbled across you, but you're like my. It's gonna sound like I'm just building you up, but no joke. One of my favorite YouTubers. I catch pretty much all of your videos and almost hit the like button before I even make it 15 seconds into it. But you ever
what a fanboy?
Yeah, exactly. Everybody can call me a fanboy. But it's just you have a real constructive way of putting your stuff together, man, and it's positive. It goes right along with our community and our podcast. And anyways, without further ado, awesome, tell us a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. So, in terms of YouTube and stuff and Destiny, it kind of all happened sort of randomly. So, I actually did music production. That was kind of like my big thing in life. I'm a real big fan of music. Started out as a musician, did that at university, and then kind of like following university, I wanted to take that, the media side of things because I was into music production. I was really into gaming as well and kind of combine those two things. And it sort of brought me into this place where I am right now, which is kind of interesting and random, but ultimately has been pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. That's, I did not know that about you. That's really neat.
Yeah.
Branch off of, we got a musician here, Cyborg. Maybe we should work something else into.
Yeah, we should have set up a Skype call and all jumped in, played some music.
Right.
But you're in the UK, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, while we're recording, it's like midnight here and 6 a.m. your time. So
it's bright and breezy. Yeah, for sure. I can hear the birds singing outside, just about.
Nice.
And we should be asleep.
Totally.
What part of the UK do you live?
So I live pretty much bang in the middle of England, near Birmingham, which is one of the bigger cities in the UK.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
awesome.
It's all right, I guess.
It's where you're from, so
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you can't change where you're from, eh?
Yeah. We're all like, yeah, it's all right, It's kind of where I'm from, whatever. How did you become a gamer? Tell us about your history and what got you there.
The thing that got me into video games without a shadow of a doubt was Grand Theft Auto. So I remember it was what was I? I was was probably like 12 or 13 years old, and
Grand Theft Auto 3.
Yeah, literally, yep. And Vice City, and it's like,
Vice City.
Before that, really, I wasn't playing too many games. Like, I was kind of, normal kid doing my thing, but I didn't play a ton of games. And then that was kind of the age where I started to get into it. I was around a friend's house, and he had Vice City playing on his PS2. I remember he was flying like the seaplane around. I was just like, dude, I don't know why, but I have to get this game. And that was literally what got me into video games. And then I was kind of like the biggest Rockstar Games fanboy for the longest time. And so honestly, I'm not even sure how I really got to Destiny. I think I saw it because, like, going back, I didn't play Halo and things like that. So Bungie games were really kind of a new thing for me when Destiny came out. I saw it at E3, and it's just like immediately it had that kind of visual hook, like, what is this world about? And that's really how I ended up, going from something like GTA to Destiny, which is, two pretty different things really in terms of video games, right?
Did you play Halo and their other stuff, or you said?
I've gone back since, and played Halo, but no, like back in the day, it was not a thing for me, man. I was like, I wasn't even into video games barely when Halo was a thing, So it's kind of interesting because, like, a lot of people in the community, were really into Bungie games going back. So it's like, I feel almost like a bit of a noob at times.
Just in relation to Bungie, but of course not Destiny.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, I mean, you kind of told us there how you came about to playing Destiny. I mean, you saw it and it piqued your interest. I mean, what... as far as YouTube content creation, I mean, you kind of mentioned that earlier too. I mean, that was just a natural transition from the musician life to kind of a content creation passion.
Yeah, I feel like it kind of was because, like, I was really into the production side of things, so I enjoyed, like, media stuff. I'd worked a little bit on video stuff while I was at university and things like that. So, with me also playing a lot of games, it was just kind of like one day I was like, hey, I'd really love to record some of this and just like make a montage or something. And that was pretty much how it started out. I was just doing it for fun like that. And slowly but surely I started to do more, kind of constructive content and guides for things. And Destiny honestly was the beginning of that, like, on my YouTube channel. I don't think I'd ever really have gotten to that without Destiny. So a lot happened once Destiny came around, for sure.
Very cool. You're definitely releasing daily videos now. I mean, is it sometimes multiple videos in a day, or is it roughly about a video a day, it seems like?
Yeah, generally one video a day. Sometimes I get a couple of videos in, like when we get big updates like we've had this week. I like to just cover as much stuff as I can, like, relatively quickly.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I think that's what, at least for me and other people, I'm sure, like your videos, you're not just throwing random stuff up. Like you're feeding the information and you're doing it pretty quick. And then, in the downtimes, I've noticed you'll throw up constructive videos and different topics and things of that nature. But I mean, obviously we put a podcast together weekly and it's challenging. How do you, obviously you probably work as well. How do you manage to throw up one video a day, editing, creating, scripting? I mean, is this your full-time job, or do you do other things?
Since September with D2, this is my full-time job now.
Very
this
cool.
Is what I do,
That's nice.
Yeah, man, it's absolutely incredible, like, to be able to do this for a job and, survive doing it as well and feel relatively comfortable, like, especially considering, Destiny 2 has had a rocky road thus far. So, doing what I'm doing and succeeding at it, like, right now, I feel really lucky. I mean, it takes a lot of work, I'm probably working 80 plus hours a week. But in terms of, like, subjects and scripting and, finding the content to cover, it is a 24-hour thing, even when I'm kind of in my downtime for a few hours. I got my eyes on Reddit, constantly bookmarking things, you know, making notes, spitballing ideas with friends. And it just kind of flows. I can't really tell you exactly how I keep it up, but
yeah.
but yeah,
I mean,
enjoy
just
it.
the audio alone, I can't, you know, all the pieces to the puzzle, but, you know, then just, you know, putting your audio together just for the video. I mean, all of it is quite the task. So, and then, you know, the type of content you create in the climate we're in right now with a big patch like this dropping and what we're going to talk about here in a little bit. I mean, you kind of have to try to stay up to date too, because you want to inform all your, you know, your fans and your community as quickly as you can, right? I mean, that's yet another challenge.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, man, I can't, it's one of those, I kind of just go with the flow, I guess. I'm probably fortunate that I have the raw kind of like passion and energy to keep it up.
Yeah.
I feel like fortune is like a big part of this, man, honestly.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's no easy feat to work full time at YouTube. I mean, with all the trials that the platform has put all the creators through.
Yeah, definitely.
You don't have it easy for sure.
No, I think that's true. I think it's quite a difficult time to kind of grow a channel or anything and like in those kind of formats. You know, it's very competitive and stuff. So again, it's just, I feel really lucky, you know.
Well, the thing too, you know, I kind of mentioned earlier, you know, you have a lot of the core values of your content that we try to have as well. And when you scroll through your comments on your videos, man, it just amazes me how many people are just chatting back and forth. They have positive things to say. They throw you comments, and you know, that's a direct relation, you know, from the content you create. So that's you know, that's another piece of probably why people enjoy your content so much, because it's just a constructive place to be. And you're still covering, you know, Destiny right now, you know, in a time when it's you know, not being covered as much. So it's quite nice. So
yeah, that's
very cool.
It's an interesting time, man. But
yeah,
I
think
can't complain.
We're several steps in to that changing over the next few months, right?
Yeah, I feel like we're at the point where we're angling at the right direction now. You know, hopefully it's onwards and upwards.
Yeah,
as far as Destiny goes.
Well, you mentioned how you kind of got to Destiny. Why don't you tell us favorite class and favorite weapon in Destiny 2?
Ooh, that is difficult. Well, class-wise, it's going to be the Titan. I've been a Titan fanboy just since the beginning.
Cyborg's been sneaking on Warlocks for years now, so it's.
Oh, really?
I had a suspicion that you were a Titan watching your videos, so I'm glad to have you on.
Yeah. There's something about the Titan, like right from the get-go. I was just like, yeah, that's totally my thing. Right there.
And then they made the Striker a mobile super. It's like, what?
Yeah, that's it. Mind blown.
Yes,
but yeah, I'll still stick with the Titan. Favorite weapon? That's a really tough one.
Yeah, we kind of like to ask this weapons. One. Tell us your favorite weapon in Destiny 1, and then tell us Destiny 2. I know it's even more challenging, but
difficult. I would probably say my AS Luna. Like, I had a pretty nice roll. It was filthy, actually. It was so I had Snapshot, Outlaw, Luck in the Chamber, and Rifle Barrel. And that thing was nasty. Like, it was real good. Banned in sweats, but fun everywhere else. I'd probably say that. That's one of the guns I found myself using the most. I probably have more kills with that thing, like in Crucible, than any other weapon in Destiny, I'd say. So cool. That'd definitely be the weapon I'm attached to, for sure. But I love all the stuff in Destiny. Like, it's one of my favorite things is just, you know, mixing it up, trying different stuff out and, like, you know, seeing what unique things you can do, or kind of challenging, you know, yourself in the Crucible and things like that as well, to try different archetypes. That's kind of one of the fun things about Destiny for me personally.
Definitely, yeah.
What do you do you have any favorite exotics from Destiny 2 that you've gravitated towards? Any favorites?
Favorite exotics? I think I find myself using exotics a little bit less in D2 in general. I wouldn't say that's like because they're bad or anything like that. I really like some of the heavy weapons, like Wardcliff Coil and Merciless. I find those really interesting. A big fusion rifle fan in general, so to have like a normal fusion rifle like Merciless that's able to do something interesting, like the way that it does do what it does. I really like that about the Merciless. It's kind of like, it's not flashy at all, but kind of super flashy at the same time in its own right, you know?
Yeah. It's kind of too bad that it didn't, you know, when the game first came out, Merciless was kind of the go-to for a little while, and it was kind of cool having everybody rock a fusion as their heavy, you know, in a raid and stuff. And then everybody kind of figured out, well, you don't have to use it. And I was like, yeah, but it's a fusion though.
Right.
Now it doesn't. It gets looked down on. Like, people are like, you're still using Merciless? I'm like, it's a fun gun. It's good.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
I like the Colony a lot. What did you think about that when it came out?
Yeah, I think the Colony is a lot of fun. I like it in PvP. It is annoying. I do. I think it's a pretty annoying weapon. But I'm not going to say it's not fun.
I think it's the most fun exotic that I've used in Destiny 2. That's why I like to, especially in any mode that you can get a lot of heavy and you know, mayhem and stuff. It's a blast. I haven't used it yet since the new patch came, and you can pick up extra heavy. I need to try that, but you just kind of point and shoot, man.
Yeah, it's out there, man.
Yeah.
It's doing the thing.
Well, a big question we got to ask you that's going to really be the judge of whether you get to continue the show with us or not. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
No way, man. No. Don't know what kind of person you took me for.
Yes, we've been screening, I guess.
Candor, sir. Can't have none of that pineapple pizza nonsense around here.
Yeah, I never got it, personally.
We'll talk about a possible third co-host position. So far, you checked all the boxes.
Never tried it, though?
I have tried it, yeah.
Oh, okay. You never got it, like you don't get what people like about it?
No, it's not my thing, man.
Oh, okay.
I don't like that combination of something like really sweet, you know, on something like pizza. I'm just like, nah, man, I don't, it's not my thing.
Yeah, pizza, you get the little bit of sweetness from the sauce, but everything else, I feel like it should be savory, you know?
Yeah, man. And spicy where possible.
Yeah.
Spicy?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yes, please.
All right. Well, again, thanks for coming on the show. We're gonna jump right into some Destiny content now, because good God, there's a lot to talk about this week, boys.
Yes.
I hope you came prepared. This week at Bungie is usually where we start, so let's start there. This week at Bungie, we deployed update 1.1.4. Pretty substantial across the board sandbox update. Of course, there are patch notes, which we just wouldn't have enough time to go through them in depth. But suffice to say, all your favorite weapons probably got a buff. Hand cannons included, sniper rifles included. And I think the most impactful thing beyond that was some of the changes to abilities and movement, which we're going to talk about in Reset. But there was a pretty cool little clip they put together. I really like how they did this. They put together a little 3-minute developer commentary on the update. And I mean, I know this takes production and time to do, but you know, people bring up how other studios, you know, everybody does things a different way. Bungie has their own way of doing, you know, communication and stuff. But I would love to see more frequent, you know, commentary. Like we've gotten a lot of written blogs and stuff lately, which has been great. But I would love to see some more like little videos and stuff that they put out. You know, they put out a new feature or an update. I'm a nerd about games, so I just love to hear these guys talk about how they do what they do. And
yeah, no, I like the little snippets they've been putting in there too, like they did in this one. We'll talk about just like little snippets of the next patch environments, and then This one was cool with Hamrick, and like even we've said before, like a monthly podcast.
Yeah, I would love for them to do some more podcasts. But yeah, they had Josh Hamrick. He did some commentary on the patch, and pretty much turned into a meme. If you guys caught that.
He had that right sleeve rolled up just a little.
He's like, I'm here to buff your weapons. And he had his sleeve rolled up. And the first picture I saw before I watched it, because I watched it kind of late, was like somebody had taken his arms and blown them up. And I'm like, is that really that dude's arms? Oh my God. Then I watched it. I was like, oh, they're doing that. And if you go to
the banner on the Destiny subreddit.
The banner on the subreddit is quite hilarious
amazing.
too. You got to see that for yourself.
For real.
I love when, here's the thing. This is the kind of, it's silly and it's small and trite, but it's good when the community is being creative again.
And having fun.
Absolutely.
When they're having fun again, when they're posting videos doing cool stuff in Destiny again, like this week. Somebody put up a video, they soloed the Prestige Nightfall with 60,000 points. When you start to see the stuff like that again, it's really makes me feel encouraged, because it means that people are loosening up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
While it's like silly stuff, I think it shows some evidence of the community, just having a little fun again, like you said.
Yeah, there's a kind of air of positivity around it right now, isn't there? Which is nice to see, like from the people that are kind of stuck around,
Yeah,
the people still playing.
And people are going to complain. I mean, people are going to complain. There's people still complaining about what we got, and everything's not perfect, but it is good at least to see some people excited about the game again, and so that's good news.
Sure.
They do a little post on turning their attention towards 1.2.0, which I believe is what is scheduled for May on the development roadmap, and they keep throwing out this wordage that I find interesting about. Man, how did they put it? They talk about it at the end of the TWAB about what's coming next and beyond, which is always exciting to see future plans.
Yeah, I'm hoping to see an updated dev roadmap soon.
I think that's what they're teasing.
Yeah.
In the meantime, this week, John Wisniewski's back and giving us some more previews of the exotic weapon changes that we're going to be getting. And they talked a little bit about Sturm and Drang. And so they're making some changes there with Sturm and Drang to make them, I guess, a more viable set of weapons, which is cool because they really don't get used at all.
That's true.
Yeah, so they're let's see, they're improving their base stats. Drang has Rampage and a maxed out magazine, and the Sturm magazine gets overloaded, and those overflow rounds have a damage boost of 1.8. So you get a pretty good damage increase in PvE and 2 taps in PvP, which is pretty dope.
Yeah, it looks pretty nasty. Like
it does. They showed a little.
What is it doing? Like 132 critical damage on the overflow shot.
So they show a little preview of some gameplay. Yeah, it looks really nasty. It could be a good combo in the Crucible for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I saw, initial feedback. People were excited. I mean, I watched this clip and I'm like, holy cow, is this really a thing? It's going to happen? And, people were, analyzing it a step further, saying, really, I mean, the time to kill on a 2-tap's excellent, but, what you have to do prior to that is going to take a little time. But, the counter to that was with the increase in movement speed and things of that nature, and then you throw this loadout on a very skilled player, it's going to be pretty potent.
Yeah,
for
definitely.
Sure. So that is a preview to some exotic weapons. They mentioned they're going to be talking more about some changes to exotics. All of these upgrades will land in Season 3 when that begins. Next up, they talk about the companion app, which they've been doing some work on lately. And on April 4th, which I believe is this coming reset, they are finally bringing into the companion app 3D modeling. So you can once again see your Guardian as well as all the individual weapons, ships, sparrows, ghosts, etc. In 3D rendering, which is pretty cool. And you can also disable that if your device can't quite handle it. And then they're also promising some recruitment features that will be changing, which I think this is pretty cool. You get to create fire teams in your clan. And then also issue Sony and Xbox platform invites directly from the app if you're the fire team creator. And you can schedule and set a native mobile calendar reminder for your fire teams for the future, or set them to start immediately. So that's pretty cool neat for like planning and, you know, trying to set up raid runs and nightfall runs, stuff with your friends. I think they're taking some cues from things like the 100, was it called the 100.io or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which was a really cool thing that came out in Destiny 1. And it has some features like that that's really good for, you know, scheduling stuff with people and setting up runs. So I like what they're doing here and starting to build out some more of these features on the app to make the game, you know, have some things that other, you know, you might see in like PC games or other type MMOs and stuff. I'd like to see that stuff continue to grow. Anything that helps manage communities, I think is a win for us, because it's really, it's tough to do it in outside platforms, you know.
Definitely. This all kind of ties in with the model that they wanted clans to have, right? With D2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I hope we continue to see more clan features added.
Yeah. I'm really hoping, and it's not something that they've talked about, but my hope inside is that we see maybe a Clans 2.0 in the fall update.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just, you know, they kind of tried some stuff with Destiny 2. I'd like to see them try to push it forward and evolve clans.
Double down on it, yeah.
In the future, you know. I'm not a big fan of the clan engram system, but they have an idea. You know, it's raw. I think they can do some better things with it. I don't know. What do you think about the clan system in Destiny 2, Houndish?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Like, there's a lot of good ideas there at base. I think there are, you know, some features, some of the stuff they're looking at doing with the app, which have definitely been missing from the clan system in general, whether it's in-game or like Bungie.net or anything like that.
Right.
But it does look like they are, you know, reconsidering a lot of stuff. You know, Cosmo spoke about the clan engrams before, and they say that they want to, you know, rework that. I don't know whether they're going to make it more of an investment thing, or, you know, just remove some of the end game rewards or rejig it somehow. I definitely think it should be, like, as far as clan engrams, there should be, you know, things that you need to invest a certain level into the clan in order to get them. I think you have to, like, hit a certain amount of XP, right, in a clan? Or is that not a thing? I can't quite remember.
Yeah, so like you get collective XP in the clan as a clan that allows the clan to level up, so to speak, and that gives bonuses.
Right.
And then the clan stave cosmetic, which is, you know, pretty basic.
Yeah.
Reward system.
Yeah. So I guess they're encouraging people to, like, you know, be active in clans and kind of like do some work for the clan or whatever. But yeah, I guess like with some of the clan rewards, they could try to encourage people to get involved in those activities more, as opposed to, you know, kind of dish out free loot. You don't necessarily have to lock everything away, but a little bit of effort and a little bit of reward, right? I think is good. But I think guided games is also something they seem to want to rework in one way or another. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see how that might affect the clan system as well, right?
Yeah, because I think it, like you're mentioning, it all kind of ties together in a way.
Yeah.
So, total tangent, but just thoughts that I've had. Something we've been talking a lot about this week is clans and how they function, and even with some of my buddies, we were talking about the reward systems and how the clans play into that and stuff. And anyways, that's all way down the line. But we always are looking ahead, like what's next.
It's what Guardians do best, right?
I know, right? But hey, what faction did you pledge for faction rallies, Houndish?
I went with FWC last week. I actually didn't get too much time to play. I was just trying to grab a few of the ornaments and stuff like that. But I've been a pretty hardcore Dead Orbit guy up until now, which I think partly is. It stems back to D1, back when those Dead Orbit shaders were like the thing that everybody wanted.
When Revenant was the one,
Yeah.
Sounds like I've been scouting Houndish out for the show for a while.
I know,
Titan,
right?
Dead Orbit, no pineapple on pizza. At least you can agree on that one, Cyborg.
Yep.
I just try to do everything properly where possible.
There you go. There you go. I actually, it's funny is I did FWC this week too because I really wanted that Heart of Time Pulse. Every other faction rally I've done Dead Orbit, but I didn't get a whole lot of time to play either, and I ended up just getting a couple of the weapons.
Well, unfortunately for you two gentlemen, my beloved New Monarchy won for the fourth time.
Yeah.
It's insane, right?
Even with a grenade launcher up.
So crazy. which I picked that up. I haven't tested it yet. I need to go run with it and see how it plays. But I actually have a little bit of a complaint, and it's a little late, but so for the faction rallies, when they introduced the I'm losing the word now. The ornaments, okay? They were cool, and I was like, wow, these are really pretty. These look great. But when the time came to actually run faction rallies, I had little motivation to put in the time to get them, okay? So that's the preamble. So then Monday night before reset, I'm like, wait, I really want those. I need to get those. I'm not going to be able to get them after tomorrow. I kid you not. I grind every single ornament out for New Monarchy in 4.5 hours. Okay.
Oh, wow.
But, which is great. I got it done. I got them. But seriously, 4.5 hours is all it takes. That's the investment to get that piece of gear. And so I think and like I said, it's a little too late because they've already promised. They've already taken, faction rallies out of the schedule for a while, putting them back in the boiler, so to speak. So, I think that they know they need some more, but I really want, I want things that take more than a night to earn. And if it's going to be something like ornaments for your faction of choice or whatever, it only means something when you really have to invest, And that's one of the problems I think D2 has is there's not enough investment for stuff. For some things there are. I mean, like the prestige stuff is pretty difficult, so those are more rare items to get. But I'd like to see more variety, even in things like factions where you've got to really pledge and put in time and commit to get this stuff, because then it means more to you. Like your Fatebringer, you know what I mean? Like, totally, I ran the vault 1,400 times to get this gun, Like, you're so
I'm
proud
honestly
of it.
surprised you got them in that amount of time.
I was too. I was like surprised I was able to pull it off, but I did.
The Titan arms, the one for that, I believe it's for I forget if it's for Iron Banner or if it's for Dead Orbit, but it's like I don't know if it's the same across all factions, but it's like the grenade kills and melee kills or something.
I think that was for Iron Banner.
Yeah, they're like acknowledging that they might tweak that one a bit because that one crawls.
I know. I think the melee and grenade kills one was pretty punishing.
Mm-hmm. But you know what? I mean, to what you're saying, I mean, as long as we have a while in the season to do it, You know.
Yeah.
And you're okay if you accidentally wait to the last night and you can't get it.
Yeah. And I think part of that, though, is just the fact that you don't get abilities enough in this game.
Right. Which has changed now a little bit. So
That may change, though. Like, that may be an easier thing to achieve.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's one of the, like, I know this is kind of on a tangent, but that was one of the things that D1 managed to do relatively well, was like the balance of, you know, investment, but for something which had potential to be unique.
Yeah.
And like appropriately like powerful or influential in the game. I think that's sometimes where Destiny 2 doesn't hit the mark as much, and that's probably why you do see less engagement in like some of these cosmetic things. It's not that cosmetics are bad, right? I think some people just like that depth there, you know?
Yeah.
Once I hit this threshold, this is like the noticeable difference in power that you'll see, right? Between like before and after. And I think that's something D2 needs to like improve in general, right? But it can absolutely be done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the core example of, you know, an activity and an item paying off was the Lost Delight with Black Spindle. Is it Black Spindle?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I always get
the
Black Hammer, but I get those mixed up, showing my age. My Destiny age, not my real age. But I mean, people always bring that up, and it's such a good example of, you know, difficulty and investment tying into, you know, a really rewarding weapon that has a lot of impact once you have it. You know, it was very, very useful sniper.
Oh, for real. I was so happy when they brought that thing out, because just another side note, I could never get the Black Hammer from Crota's End Raid.
Oh, really?
Mega salty. Yeah. So like when the Black Spindle came around, I was pretty pleased. All my friends, you know, they made the point of how it's not quite as good as the Black Hammer was, which I appreciated, but
yeah,
nonetheless, I got something close to that in the end. Yeah.
Yeah, still good, still useful.
For real.
Well, moving further down in the update, man, didn't expect this, but Bungie Bounty is coming back, and it's coming to PC.
Nice.
Yeah, I know some PC players will probably be excited about this. April 4th, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific. And I always have the same gripe. They always do it in the middle of the week, in the middle of the day. Like,
right?
How am I going to be able to play?
Yeah.
I guess the region is going to be, you know, Washington proper, since, you know, all the players are going to be Bungie players. So you'll probably have a better time if you're up in the Pacific Northwest to play these guys. But TTL, Cosmo, DMGO4, Terrible, and Lickvid will be the Bungie team. You've got to match and beat them to earn the special emblem. And meanwhile, Deej will be talking with Josh Hamrick and Kevin Yanes on the present and future states of the sandbox and the Crucible in between matches. So that should be interesting. We'll at least get to watch that. They're going to fire up the old Twitch studio again. So that's exciting. I'm definitely going to try to watch if I can. Although I probably never match up with these guys on PC.
Right. Yeah, I might tune into that, actually.
Go for it, man. I mean, PC population is kind of low, so you might have a decent chance on matching up.
Find myself some couple of friends in the USA.
Yeah, get somebody. I know a couple
team.
guys that live in Seattle that play PC. I might be able to convince them to play with you.
That's it. Carry me to Cosmo, please.
Man, well, I don't know, man. They're pretty good. I know Cosmo and DMG are pretty good players. You know, watch out for those cats.
Cosmo knows how to work that hunter, man.
Except for their hunters. So, I mean, just play it tight and you'll be fine.
Yeah, that's it.
That Arc Strider is pretty scary now.
Next up, there were some errors over in the Destiny Operations Center with Destiny player support. The BAT errors were coming up. And apparently this is related to the Strike and Crucible repeat repetition feature. I guess that keeps strikes and crucible maps from repeating. So they essentially had to disable that feature until they're able to solve it. So you shouldn't experience those errors now. Yeah, that stinks. I guess it's, we're not really losing anything, so
No.
Just might have to play the same strike over and over.
Yeah.
But that was most of the update. They talk in the end, they mention, so we have more changes coming to Destiny 2. This was another step. The next one's coming in May. Keep an eye on our roadmap. We'll keep you up to date with what to expect. It's about time for us to plot more future waypoints over a more distant horizon.
Ooh. Oh, you know what? There was another sentence that stuck out to me towards the beginning. They said, there are other hot topics we haven't discussed, like random rolls, weapon slots, and progression systems.
Yes.
Said our team has been exploring each of these concerns behind the scenes. So those are some pretty big deal topics right there for them to be discussing. And then telling us about it. I mean, we kind of figured, but it's kind of nice to hear that they are discussing things like weapon slots and random rolls.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. I've noticed as well that I think Cosmo, it was on Reddit in the past couple of weeks, or the past week actually. I've seen him refer to these things a couple of times as well. And it's really like it's the first time they've used that terminology or those terms, random rolls, like the weapon slots and things like that. So it's quite interesting that they've suddenly, relatively speaking, they've suddenly started talking about this over the past week or so. So it's going to be interesting to see what they've got in the pipeline,
No, definitely. Yeah, it's going to
probably
be
have a plan.
That updated roadmap, because I feel like that's definitely, I mean, they've already hinted to it several times, but that's definitely something that they're going to continue. CG, Barrett, he seems like he's on top of it and wanting to do that, I'm sure, as well as the rest of the team. And to see, even if they give us, up to the fall, what their plan is or what they're going to try and do with the release of the fall DLC, it's going to be very intriguing to see what's on that list for sure.
Absolutely. Definitely.
One thing that we didn't catch in last week's news that is pretty interesting is they tweeted up on the 23rd of March, a few different of the Bungie devs, one being Joe Blackburn, tweeted about a job opening at Bungie, which is really interesting. They're hiring contract gameplay specialist. So let me read just the heading on this. It says, Bungie is looking for a dedicated gameplay expert with the ability to play test and analyze games from a player point of view, and then to communicate clear and constructive feedback to our development teams. I'm going to paraphrase. They should be constantly thinking about the user experience through weekly reset routines after reaching in-game, and leverage their experience and expertise to offer insight and feedback. This will require a strong desire and excitement to play through Destiny 2's end-game with a small team of skilled players to gain an in-depth feel for the underlying systems in play. And then they go on to say this person should be able to evaluate and make insightful predictions about in-game content, and over time, give clear objective feedback with an eye towards player sentiment and engagement.
Very interesting.
I think what's most fascinating is that they're obviously aware that they need outside insight into, like, okay, when we produce this content, how is a player going to perceive and how are they going to consume the end game of what Destiny 2 is? And they're looking for basically super skilled, dedicated player or players. I don't know if they're hiring 1 or 10 of these people.
Yeah.
That will help them, I guess, see kind of down the pike and improve the game.
Yeah.
And I think this is really, whoever gets this job could have a lot of impact in the game in a positive way.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah.
Obviously, people have thrown out some really great candidates. Folks like Datto, SC Slayerage, Fallout plays. You know, we have so many really smart, talented content creators in Destiny 2 that have, you know, great analytical and communication skills. So I know a bunch of these guys have applied. What about you, Houndish? You apply for this position, man?
Nah, man, not for me.
All right.
I don't really consider myself like, I can spitball ideas all day long about Destiny.
Sure.
You know, from my experience with the game, but I don't think it's something I have the skill set for personally.
I understand.
But also, like, another thing a lot of people have said, you know, in reference to this is like, hey, I already have a job, right?
Right.
It's like,
yeah, that's the thing is it's a 3-month job.
Yeah.
And you have to move to Seattle.
Yeah.
So that's tough.
Definitely. I mean, I'm sure they'll find someone, you know, really awesome to fill that role. It'd be very interesting to see if any of the, you know, the well-known community folks end up getting an opportunity there.
Yeah.
That would be very interesting. It would be very interesting, you know, like sort of change in angle and reception from Bungie, you know, from like of community feedback, right? At the top end, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's very interesting for sure.
I think whoever is going to have this job is going to have a really tough job outside of what they're asking them to do.
Yeah.
They also are walking into like an established culture with relationships and politics and a lot of stuff they're going to have to wade through to actually have any impact. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, not saying that Bungie isn't true to what they're asking for here, but, you know, coming in as an outsider, I'm telling you as somebody that's like worked for organizations that had people come in to help change stuff, their job is really hard.
Oh, absolutely.
It's tough to get people to listen to the truth sometime. And even if they're eager for feedback, they're going to have to do a really good job of like being convincing, backing up what they have to say, being really good communicators. I mean, this is a tough call, you know?
Yeah.
So
totally.
I wish the best of luck to whoever gets this job, but I think it's fascinating, and I think it's great that they're looking to do something like this.
It was crazy too because it popped up on several of their feeds. I mean, they were pushing it out and tweeting it.
Yeah,
I saw it on several different of the developers' Twitter feeds.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and they mentioned this is a great way to get started in the industry, which I mean, yeah. You don't get a lot of opportunities like that, you know?
No.
Where you don't have to start from the bottom.
I think that's why it's really nice that they're pushing it out there to the community, you know? Like, and plus a lot of us, you know, we do talk about Destiny. We're full of ideas and things we want to see changed and opinions and things like that. And, you know, to a degree, I think there's an element of, well, come on then, show us what you got, right?
Right.
Yeah. Like, so, I mean, it's good. I think it's a positive thing.
For sure. Well, we talked a little bit about the patch, and I guess the best thing is just to talk about what we've been playing and what we think about it. So, Houndish, tell us, since you're our guest, how was your reset, man?
A lot of fun, man. Yeah. So, I mean, really, I've been pretty busy, like just trying to, most of the time in PvP, just getting a feel for different things and enjoying some weapons that, you know, have needed some love for a little while.
Oh yeah,
but we've got so much change, right? There's so much to kind of dissect that's, you know, been adjusted in the game. But yeah, it's been a fun week. I've run a few Nightfalls as well. I haven't been lucky and got that new sniper yet.
It looks cool.
Oh man,
right?
It's so cool to see the excitement on our feeds too, of people using it, wanting it, trying to get it. It's like that feeling. It's what Destiny's all about, right?
Yeah,
it's like
definitely.
I want it.
That's it. One of my friends managed to pick it up fairly early on, and he said, "Oh man, I'm going to jump off soon anyway. So do you want to like jump on and try it out?" And so I went in and like jumped straight into the Crucible and just like, you know, loaded ammo. I'm like, oh, this thing feels snappy. And just took that first shot, and it was like, oh, okay, like this is happening. Like this sniper feels awesome. Yeah, like it's a really nice feeling weapon. Pretty cool, like angle on like the theme of the weapon as well. It's like it's not so much like heavily themed by the enemies, but more like, you know, characters associated with the strikes and things like that, or you know, like the place, which I think is an interesting angle, because in D1, you know, it was sort of enemy. It's
all
themed,
about the boss,
right?
or
like, yeah, like a piece of this boss's head hanging off your weapon or whatever it is. Yeah, so it's quite interesting the way that they've done it, but it's nice to have, you know, stuff to chase, right? There have been some mixed opinions, like, you know, some folks wanted to see like a whole suite of, you know, gear and gear sets and things like that, and other folks didn't want to see, you know, some of the like exotic things like ghosts and whatever else there might be in there.
They did mention that really there might be some accessories was the term they used, right?
Yeah, that's it.
My guess is like ship spare shaders. I don't know.
Stuff like that, yeah. And I mean, the significant thing about that is that, you know, it's one of the first times that this stuff has been, I say, taken out of Eververse. I mean, this stuff is supposed to have been made specifically for strikes, right?
Yeah.
But we're finally getting those kind of rewards, you know, kind of weaved into the game outside of Eververse. So I think, despite like personal opinions about how much loot there should be or what it should look like or what it should do, there's a certain significance that this is happening, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's you know, just, well, we can abbreviate versions of this as we talk about different things, but of course, as many of you probably know, we got the Nightfall specific loot. And I had a question this week, you know, because I'm trying to take all this in, and it's, spoiler alert if anybody doesn't want to know like number details and what's available, but there have been confirmed 7, right? You made a video of 7 different items. Yes. So is that, explain it to us. Is it like when it's the Nightfall next week is a different strike? Is there anything in that one that's like boss related that we're going to get something else, or is it 7 across the board is what we get and we got it all this week?
So it's individual pieces of gear, like for each strike or each Nightfall. Yeah. So like, you know, like 3 of them or 4 of them have weapons, and then the rest have, you know, these other like ornaments or exotic things. So there is like 1 tied to each strike. So basically, like as we get the rotation of Nightfalls, there will be something new to try and grab every week. Which is certainly cool.
Yeah, so, and that can be anything. So like this week, you know, I saw some arms drop for somebody in a video I watched. The sniper, of course. There's a couple exotic. There's an exotic ghost. Are these things that, I guess, you know, can you grind the Nightfall over and over again to try to get this stuff? And how much can you get this week? Like, what can you get this week?
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, so it is locked. So, like, Pyramidion has its piece of gear. So, like, that's the only thing that you can get or out of this particular loot table anyway, like in the Pyramidion. So, if it's Arms Dealer next week, there'll be, like, 1 specific piece of gear, but you can run it as many times as you need to in order to actually get the drop. So, like, I think one of my friends got it on, like, the 2nd run. I know some folks have got it, like, 1st run. One of my buddies I think he's done, like, 5 or 6 runs now, still hasn't got it. So it's definitely a mixed bag. Yeah.
The coolest thing that I've heard is that you can increase your drop chances by increasing your handicap in the prestige.
Yes.
Which that's a totally new thing for Destiny. Like, there's never been a way that you can increase drop rates for a legendary. You know, maybe for exotics, but I think that's really cool, and that's a feature that has a lot of potential. I mean, I was just talking with friends, and imagine if you could have thrown a modifier on the Vault of Glass to get a better drop rate for the Vex, you know? Like, that has a lot of potential.
Would be awesome.
So I think that's pretty cool.
I think this is something they could like weave into the challenges in the game now as well. You know, for certain activities where it'd be like, I don't know, like find a hidden kind of like a challenge mode or something, or to hit a certain number of kills or a certain like number of deaths or non-deaths in a raid or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff they could do there, like scaling performance to like rewards, right? I think that's quite interesting.
Absolutely. Have you guys, either of you guys, done the Prestige? How was your experience with that?
Prestige Pyramidion, yeah, I did a couple of runs. It's not too bad.
I had a little trouble.
Right? Yeah, it's. I think we were doing it on like a 12 or 15 handicap, somewhere around there, and that wasn't too bad. Like that's kind of like my comfort zone, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can. Yeah, it can be real tough. You bump it up any more than that, and it's like it's savage.
Did you do it with a elemental burn with a singe, or did you just do it standard?
Yeah, we did it with. I think we went with arc burn in the end.
Yeah, that's what we were doing.
Nice.
We just got hung up on those taken mobs a lot, man. Like, they're just...
Oh, some of them are crazy.
All the shields, and they're so spongy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
The final boss isn't that bad. Once you get to the end, it's just all the mobs before that killed us on time and stuff. Yeah, I'm going to plot at it some more. We'll beat it.
Yeah, it can be a tricky one for sure. Like again, it kind of depends on the level you're running it at. It's surprising how difficult stuff can become in Destiny, right?
Yeah.
Like if you bump it up to the right kind of numbers. Yeah.
But I really like. I mean, it makes it feel like Nightfalls again, like Destiny Year 1, like level of difficulty where you really had to be strategic and plan your loadout and take your time, and you know
that's it.
That's what made it fun. And then you get your butt kicked back to orbit when you screw up and you all jump through the laser and die.
Oh, for real. That's still always the total shock to the system right now. When we're running one and we get sent to orbit, I'm like, every time this happens, I forget this is now a thing again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Old school.
It'll punish you.
That's it. But yeah, I think like, you know, between the February update and now having the loot put in, like, you know, the Nightfall is definitely a much more interesting, like, engaging activity, I think. Which is ultimately what Bungie wanted it to be, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's everybody in Destiny 1, we did the Nightfall, all three of your Nightfalls first thing, you know, of course.
Yeah.
Joe reminded us Cyborg because we forgot one episode one reason why, but it was for your buff, you know. But there was you were almost guaranteed to get an exotic. And I mean, it's no secret, like the loot is what drives us in this game. There's been plenty of conversations about that, and to get the specific loot back for the Nightfall, and be able to grind it and increase your chances. Like these are the layers that excite people. And I mean, we're talking about, you know, that sniper feels good. I've watched many videos on it. I don't have it myself yet. I really do want to get it. And you bet I'm going to find myself in a Nightfall. You know, I don't find myself in a Nightfall too often. And, you know, it's not a lot. I mean, not really anything has changed with the perk setups and things of that nature. So, you know, it's just with that aspect not happening and still having this excitement, to get in here and get these things. I mean, it really kind of shows a lot of what our playing habits are, and I'm sure they're catching on to that, or definitely already know it. So I think it's important we see more of this, many more layers of this.
Absolutely.
Sure. Now, do you guys have any favorite weapons you've pulled out and had a good time with since the changes?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is I've played a little this week. I haven't gotten a lot of time, but I had to jump in like the night over, the night after, I can't remember. And I immediately went to the Crucible. And I mean, that's kind of what, you know, this update, it got some PvE love, but I mean, the whole sandbox, even PvE and PvP is just getting shaken up. And like we mentioned before, you know, we've kind of covered over the past, you know, couple episodes, they've mentioned a lot in the TWAB what's coming. So, you know, we don't want to bore you guys, like we said, with all the percentages and the numbers. But basically, like Cyborg said, everything is more powerful. Even your Guardian, even your supers,
Yeah.
all your weapons minus auto rifles. If you want to look at all the numbers and stuff, the second thumbnail on their website on Bungie.net will show you everything. But I mean, that's instantly. I jumped right in the Crucible on my Titan, of course, and I'm moving fast. You can feel the difference, you know, and it's your super and the weapons. Like, I immediately got out my Nightshade. I wanted to see what those pulses felt like. I got out a hand cannon because I wanted to see what it felt like. And it was the Vigilance Wing
Oh man.
disturbance hadn't occurred yet. This was, like I said, the night of or the night after. I can't remember that it dropped. And I want to say it was the night of. And, you know, I'm trying out all this different stuff, and it's just fun, you know, not to have shoulder charge back to the way it was. And played Rumble. You know, we'll talk about Rumble a little bit, but now, again, the classic feeling of Destiny. Like, I already have some weapons I'm kind of leaning towards, but, you know, I don't know for sure, but I haven't been able to log on and use Vigilance Wing yet, and all I'm seeing is all this Vigilance Wing talk, so I cannot wait to jump on and use it. I know you've used it, Houndish, right in the Crucible.
Yeah.
Pretty gross.
It's pretty crazy because, like, I wasn't anticipating this, but it turns out it got the high impact frame buff for pulse rifles. So it's like 12.5% damage, I believe it was, and 6% rate of fire increase. So, like, pairing that increase in rate of fire and damage on something that fires 5 rounds, right? Like, it's just crazy. Like, that gun can 2-burst people in the Crucible right now. It has a faster time to kill than, like, the IS Luna archetype in D1. So that's pretty crazy to even, you know, think about that, like, being in D2.
Exciting.
I think what I enjoyed the most was, like, I was able to pull out different pulses, and it felt like Destiny 1 pulse meta was back. And I was like, yes, this feels good. Like, pulses feel good. Because they were always my favorite PvP weapon in Destiny 1. And just the fact that you could be more effective, you know, Vigilance Wing, Nightshade. I had, what is the raid pulse was really good.
Inaugural address.
Yes, dude. Use that.
Thing's crazy good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It just felt.
I want to
really
try
good,
out the
man.
Autumn. We've talked about it on the show before. What is the Crucible one? Autumn.
Autumn Wind.
Oh,
I think so. I want to try
I
that.
feel like Autumn Wind is doing as well.
Really?
Yeah, I did
that
it
one
some
and
in
the
Rumble
Iron Banner
earlier,
one.
and it's just a little slow, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, it's there's a couple of, I think, Time Worn Spire, because that's in the same archetype. That one's like got even more stability. If you can hit, like, you know, if it just depends kind of how comfortable the weapon is, I suppose. But, like, some of them are really nice. But, like, I totally agree. Like, I think the thing right now is having that variety, right? Which is like, the variety is going to shrink over the next couple of weeks again. Like, it's just inevitable. But it's always enjoyable. Just, you know, that honeymoon period initially where you can try different things, like, without the same kind of, you know, risk or feeling of risk, kind of, like, in the game. And just seeing different, like, other people use different stuff as well. Getting killed by things you don't expect is always fun. But I'm loving the hand cannons, man. Like, Midnight Coup, Old Fashioned. Those two in particular, I've been using a lot since this update.
Are you maining PC? Or are you maining? What are you maining?
I'm maining Xbox at the minute.
Okay.
Yeah, so, like,
hand
cannons on console feel so much better than they did previously. Because if you play PC and the consoles as well, the difference between the two is just completely insane in terms of how they feel. So it's good to have a little bit more of that on the console now. It
is definitely nice. I don't like, because I've played on PC plenty, and I don't like that they feel that different.
Yeah.
You know, it's controller and keyboard and mouse, so it's going to happen to an extent. But it is, like you said, nice to have them kind of a notch back. Even, totally, if you will. But anything else that you've been, I know you probably tested out quite a bit. Anything else standing out to you?
I'm just trying to think.
What heavies you been using? What heavies?
Snipers wherever I can. So the best sniper I have is Alone as a God. the one from Leviathan Raid. That thing's feeling pretty good. Snipers are feeling nice in general. There's the Nightfall one, so that's Silicon Neuroma, right? And then Maxim from New Monarchy. Like those three are kind of like the top three like PvP snipers in terms of like the zoom and snappiness and everything like that. But yeah, Alone as a God is feeling really, really nice. I think snipers in general are kind of like the aim assist is there. If you're using the right snipers as well, they feel snappy, like some of the favorite D1 snipers. I think now we just need that update in May where they look at the flinch and some of the like scope sway and stuff like that. And I think if they get that right, snipers are going to be back, dude. Like, just from how they're feeling right now, like if you're head on head like engagement with someone, that flinch is still really strong. But whenever you're not in those situations, snipers feel essentially identical to D1. So I'm excited for May, and hopefully they'll get that flinch thing sorted.
Oh, I can't wait, dude. I always had a sniper in my hands in Destiny 1. And I'll tell you what, I watched a video. Inkuch was like super excited about that sniper this weekend. I watched a video of him using it. Dude, he was no scoping. He was dragged. I mean, it was like, oh man, this thing looks amazing. And it's in the current sandbox, where they haven't done the fix in May yet. The aim assist change alone. It's exciting that it's done enough. And like you said, we'll see in a few weeks if people are still using it. But to be initially feeling this good about a sniper in the current Crucible, the new Crucible, it's definitely a plus for sure.
Yeah. I think in terms of other power weapons, I've been really enjoying some of these slug shotguns. So New Monarchy, I think it's Unification.
Yep.
I don't actually own one, funnily enough. I used a friend's account because he's got a load of the weapons and a Warlock leveled up, so I've been using his account just to try those things out. And yeah, Unification is dirty. Like if you can land them headshots, you can map people with them. They bumped up the aim assist, so they're pretty sticky. Even in air as well. So I've been having a lot of fun with slug shotguns. Slug shotguns in general feel like some of the more like rewarding weapons in the game to use, because you can mix that power fantasy, like skating about and all that stuff, kind of being crazy, but they also have that like skill threshold as well, so it's a bit of a challenge when you come around that corner, like you're taking a risk, but if you land that headshot, man, it feels so good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so slug shotguns I've been having a lot of fun with. But yeah, I'm enjoying having more heavy ammo like around. Honestly,
yeah.
I the only thing that like I'm not as comfortable with is just rockets and colony. Not that I'm hating on those things by any means, but I think those are like two of the things that point out or demonstrate how having like heavy and special separated like previously in PvP in particular was a really beneficial thing for the game.
Yeah.
So I'll be curious to see if they can, do anything with that. They are talking about weapon slots. I don't personally see them like getting rid of energy weapons though. Like maybe they'd combine them into the primary slot or something, or add like a fourth slot, or do some interesting like heavy management type thing. Like I don't know, maybe categorize heavies and specials, like even though they're in the same slot, they could perhaps have different ammo or something.
I have this feeling that they're gonna move shotguns and fusions into the energy slots. I don't know.
I'd be open to it personally.
Yeah,
be interesting. Yeah,
I love energy weapons. Like sometimes when you say this, people are like, "Oh man, you just want D1 back." Like, no way. Like I love energy weapons. I think they make the game, quite interesting having two different types of primary like that.
Yeah.
My main issue with the system, just more than anything, comes down to those PvP like situations, where I feel like the flow of matches was better, like previously separating those types of weaponry. But nonetheless, where we are right now, like it's so much better, and I really like the idea of having ammo drop on the floor and you actually pick it up, you know?
Yeah, it threw me off
and
having to hold X to pick stuff
up. I was just going to say that. Were you guys thrown off by that? I like stood on top of it for a second. And I'm like, what is happening? Okay, I got to back up. Oh, okay, there's the cue. I got to hold down and actually pick it up like I'm popping the box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just like sprinting over it.
It makes sense
like,
from a couple different perspectives, though, because one, that way you can, if you are in a group of people, like of your teammate, and somebody wants to get it or you want somebody to pick it up, you don't run over it accidentally and grab it.
Mm-hmm.
And and then also it adds, a risk. It's out in the open. You gotta have enough time to go and pick it up. You can't just run over it and run away.
Yeah.
So I feel like that
I do
balances
love
it a little bit.
that they're dropping it. It definitely adds. It's not just all right, let's all huddle and try to get to the box first. It's like, okay, there could be heavy anywhere. At any point, potentially.
I was amazed. Bones tweeted that some dude slid into heavy, picked it up, it auto-loaded his shotgun, and he shot him in one movement.
That's what I was going to say. Like, it does create some really interesting plays where, you might like take out one guy with a hand cannon, he drops that heavy, you've got another guy on the radar around the corner, and you're literally like sliding in, changing to your power weapon at the same time, and then like taking a shot. And it is like, that's something kind of different. Like, it's a slightly different way of handling, ammo and engagements. And there's been a couple of moments where I've been like, man, that felt really good, like.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of Quick Fang in Quick Play. A lot of hunters rocking that Quick Fang.
Definitely, yeah.
In shotguns. So. I mostly saw Quick Fang and shotguns. You brought up rockets, and I don't think out of the few hours I played Crucible, I don't think I saw anybody with a rocket yet. Like, everybody was so eager to, I guess, try the changes to some of these guns, I suppose.
That's it.
I want to know, what do you guys think of the changes to the linear fusions specifically? If y'all play with them?
Seem pretty powerful.
Yeah, they're really good in PvE, but you got to get those shots.
Yeah, so they got like a 50% damage buff, right?
Yeah.
In PvE, which is crazy.
It's significant.
I actually haven't tried them yet. I need to try them.
It's a big trade-off. We tried using them in the Prestige Nightfall, and they were great, but there's, like, for instance, those captains, the Taken captains that will teleport on you. Like, there was one spot where I wasted like 5 shots. Every time I'm about to pop it off, he would teleport and it would fire. And I'm like, oh my God, I just really wish I just had a sniper then, Like, there's a big risk reward for those, but they hit pretty hard. You can also use them up close, like a shotgun when you need to, and I used them there too. Just, basically just hip firing the dang thing into enemies. But pretty effective.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I need to spend a little bit of time with those, actually.
Yeah,
they are fun to use too. I used them for just a little bit pre-patch. They're interesting weapons. That's a
quick random question: is there a linear fusion with triple tap, or I can't remember if there is one or whether it was like a thought that I had.
Not that I've seen. I have 2 on my guys, and neither of those have it.
I think they could make like a real cool DPS weapon at some point, right?
Man,
like
that would be
like triple.
That'd be a high challenge, but yeah,
maybe an exotic or something in the future. Like a
do some work.
That'd be a good one.
Sleeper simulant, like hybrid type thing. Yeah,
nice. Speaking of, why don't we just get a sleeper simulant again?
There you go.
I'd take it, man.
I would take it too.
Yeah. We kind of mentioned playlists earlier before we dive into Rumble. Have you guys had a chance to jump into the competitive playlist? I know Trials isn't up yet. We're recording kind of early. It's Thursday.
Yeah.
But I forgot. The first thing I did was I jumped into Rumble, which again we'll talk about. But the competitive playlist, the change there is the competitive and Trials. The radar's gone, correct?
Yes.
Anybody had a chance to jump in?
I actually haven't jumped in yet. I may brave it today. I gotta admit, I'm a radar whore, if that's the appropriate term. I love having the radar. But yeah, I think it could be quite interesting. I'm willing to try it out for sure. There's going to be some very mixed feedback on this, though. Like,
I know,
especially after Trials this week. I just hope Bungie are ready to take feedback on board. As far
they
as
seemed like the way they presented it, they seemed like they would be. I mean, it's a pretty random, not really random, but a change that we weren't expecting. And it is going to be very interesting to watch some streams and see how people play, because it could complement the Go Fast update, or on the other side it could very well kind of be a counter to it, because your natural tendency when there's no radar is to slow down and camp a bit. So I don't know. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how the community plays out with it, for sure.
Yeah, I think it'll be a similar thing to when we had Spooky Trials in D1. It's I think it'll be fun for a weekend, but I think the people who play a lot of Trials, personally, I think I'm not going to enjoy it very much. But that's just a loose prediction. I mean, Bungie are trying something different. We can't fault them for that, as long as they're ready to make any changes if necessary to it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Did you play any competitive at all, Cyborg?
No, man. We were talking about it the other night, and then we just got hung up in quick play, having too much fun.
Right.
But
running
I'm
around
eager
fast
to do
and
it.
respawning.
Yeah, I'm eager to do it. I personally enjoyed no radar modes.
Oh, I loved
in
Spooky
Destiny
Trials.
1. Yeah, Spooky Trials was a ton of fun.
I think Houndish has a point. Like, if it's every weekend, it will be interesting.
Yeah.
But like we've talked about before, we had a blast with it.
This question may come from having played too much competitive stuff previously, but in quick play, did we used to have the board at the top that showed us when players had supers, or is that just competitive?
Yes, we did have it in quick play before.
We don't anymore. Did you notice that?
Yeah, so this... Yeah.
I was like, wait, am I
notice
crazy? Didn't we used to have this in all the modes? And we were playing, we're like, yeah, it's gone.
Yeah.
I found that strange.
I suspect the reason for it is for 6v6 heading into the quick play playlist. Perhaps they can't, kind of make that elegant in the UI or something. But I did notice if you pull up your Ghost, or whenever you're in nav mode, that bar will actually come back up.
Oh, will it?
PvP, which is quite interesting.
That is crazy. It almost makes you think.
I don't think they mentioned anything
oversight
about this in the patch notes.
No, I'm not sure they have. No,
I'll have to tweet and ask
quite
them
interesting.
about it.
Perhaps they're kind of trying to tie together, the difference between quick play and comp. Especially without the radar change. Without the radar in competitive, kind of mix it up. Which again, I think is quite interesting.
Oh wait, here it is. Okay, it is in the notes. The player's super display has been removed from the HUD. Players can still access this information in the death screen, and while in nav mode, remains unchanged in competitive. I glossed over these when they came out the other day.
Dang, I didn't even notice when I played when I jumped in. Actually, yeah, I did. I did play a little quick play. I was gonna say all I played was Rumble, but
yeah, I got to admit, without thinking about the patch notes or anything like that, I didn't really notice it all that much. It's quite interesting, isn't it? That it proves we haven't necessarily been paying all that much attention to it.
I think
in quick play modes,
stuff that in games like this, when you play it so much, they almost become like, just like radar becomes another sense, and you look at a lot of stuff subconsciously, and then sometimes you'll notice a change. You're like, wait, what's different? What's missing here? and you can't quite put your finger on it until you figure it out. But I would look at that like, okay, who has their super weight? Who's popping? Wait, we're getting halfway into the match. Who do I need to look out for? You know, but I wouldn't consciously be thinking about it. But now that it's gone, I miss it.
Yeah. Right? It's quite interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's going to be funny because it's going to bring back that popping your ghost to see, you know, it used to be to check score and to check different stuff. Now it's going to be like, all right, who has supers, you know, what's going on?
Yeah, the ghost layer of it's interesting. For sure. You're going to be killing some guardians with the ghost pull.
Yeah,
for real.
Caught you with your pants down.
Exactly. the Destiny version of that.
Exactly.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, Rumble. Let's talk about Rumble. I went straight to Rumble. But Houndish, lead the way, man. What'd you think about Rumble? Did you get some time with it?
Yeah, I've spent a little bit of time in Rumble. I'll start by saying I'm not the biggest fan. Just to be, you know, kind of
of Rumble in general, or this Rumble.
Rumble indeed too.
Okay.
But you know, I think it can be remedied. Like it's not a horrible broken game mode. I think right now, like the combination of having 8 people, the time to kill and the respawn times is making things just a little bit frantic. You know, like there's a lot of very close spawns that you can lock down a part of the map. Yesterday, actually, in a game, which map? Legion's Gulch, I think it was. I actually had this part of a map like locked down, and I had 2 players spawning like left or right of me over and over again. I think I got kills on them like 3 times in a row as they came off spawn. So wow. you do encounter some issues like that. But also kind of, you know, you'll be in some of your more extended gunfights with folks. And often like people that you've just killed are spawning in and kind of catching back up to you. So there's this kind of constant pinch effect, right? Especially if you push more into the kind of the center of the map. So I think the way people are playing Rumble right now is kind of really staying on the outside of the map, you know, to eliminate angles as much as possible. But yeah, I think respawn timers, if they reduce those a little bit, just to allow more time for the 1v1 engagements that are already going on. Possibly 6 players would also help it quite a bit, and I think it could be in a much better spot than it is right now.
Yeah, I think some of the maps are just too small for it, right?
Yeah.
For 8 people.
Yeah, I think that's an element as well. It's quite an interesting choice that Bungie made to move to 8 players, unless of course there is, you know, a technical reason that is happening, like, you know, something to do with their matchmaking or servers. Because it's also worth remembering Bungie put Rumble in the pipeline for like the fall of this year and then suddenly brought it forward. And announced that it was 8 players. So yeah, like
that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if there could be other reasons that Rumble has launched the way that it has for now. But yeah, I think it's something they can work on. And then, you know, perhaps down the road we can get that as a permanent playlist as well. Yeah. I think there's a lot of people who want to see that.
I've mentioned before, you know, like I'm playing Call of Duty some over the years and things like that. I've never been big on like free for all. And it took me a little bit in Destiny 1 to start playing Rumble, but when I really I wanted to get better at the Crucible and this or that, I started spending more time in Rumble. And when you start to hit certain, you know, you see yourself getting better and you're hitting certain levels, Rumble really teaches you a lot of things. And I did, you know, as soon as I jumped in, I felt that again, like I'm watching the radar, and you get to a point, you know, in Rumble where you're not even focusing as much on the current engagement as you are the radar and what you're going to do next. And that's what's so fun about Rumble, and it helps you get better in the Crucible, you know, substantially. Absolutely. And what's happening right now is what you said. I had a great time, but I didn't have so much of the spawn issues. I know those have been going on a lot, but yeah, I did kind of in a sense, because you, like you said, you don't have enough time to have that engagement. You feel like people are just breathing down on you. So you constantly
felt I was just constantly in between or on the other end of an engagement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you hit definitely on it either being 6 players, or if they want to keep 8, whether it's a technical thing or it's just what they want. You know, there's definitely a couple tweaks that could be made, like you said, longer spawn timers. But ultimately, we know the community loves Rumble. It's fun. It's a good time, you know, and it's, you know, I'm surprised too. I could see where somebody could easily say like, okay, we loved 6-person Rumble, Bungie. Why did you change it? We just wanted Rumble back. Now you gave us 8, and now we have this problem right now. But, you know, it's, I think it could be fun with 8. You know, they could very easily drop it to 6, you know, if the back end allows it. But I think there's a way to tweak it.
I see him bringing it back down to 6. Like that was.
You think so?
That was just my like. Even after one game, my initial thought was, I'm betting you people are gonna want them to bring it back to 6.
Yeah.
But
I think it would be in the current sandbox. It would be the healthier way to approach
healthier
things,
thing to do.
right?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, because you could easily go into a time to kill conversation here, you know, which is another one. Like some people like that idea, some people really don't like the idea of time to kill. Sorry, being quicker. But yeah, I think the primary thing is going to be like focusing on that player count and the respawn timers, and it could, you know, like it could get into a good place. It's all about leaving enough time for the engagements to play out, and to have like, you need to have enough pressure there, right? Like you need to have enough of like a push to where you know you're playing an engagement, you know someone else is like creeping up on you, you want to recover, like reload, reposition, whatever it is. That flow has to be there, and right now like the player count and like the speed that players are getting back into the game, onto the battlefield, is just kind of crushing that potential for players to, you know, like sort of exploit skill to stay in control of games a little bit. And I think it probably serves to frustrate quite a few players as well. But you know, it's here now. I think it can grow and improve. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing it's here. For sure. It's people miss their Rumble. That's for sure. I know I did. So I'm glad to have it back, even as a rotating playlist.
Did you guys see on Twitter they confirmed they brought some new medals? They got some Rumble medals back, and I don't know if it's any more than that.
Yeah, I'm not sure which I think 7th column is back.
Is it really?
I believe, yeah. I haven't actually seen it or seen the medal in the database. I'll have to have a quick look in a bit, but
at least for 6v6,
I believe that is back.
Some of all tiers is back.
Yeah, and I believe it's for Rumble as well, so you can land that in Rumble. So yeah,
good stuff.
Yeah, and speaking of, you know, the next Iron Banner, as we know, it's gonna feature 6v6. So that's another update. That is the next Iron Banner we're gonna get, right? Will be 6v6. Yep.
Yeah. That's in. Like
and then
a couple of weeks,
yes, and they did have a little note in here, just to give it a little shout that mods got a little increase as well. This isn't any final change they're gonna do to mods, but they did tweak them a bit, so they will. What is it? They've increased the output per mod to 16.667. Sorry, we threw you a percentage there. But it says, of course, they still cap out at 3 mods. So that's a little tweak they did there. A couple other things this week. We saw that Titans are able to skate on PC.
Yeah.
However they're doing that.
Holy cow, man. They're fast, too.
And the Dawnblade across all platforms is like the Flash now, right? Jumping Flash.
Yeah. Dawnblade is just positively dangerous at this point, like, which is great. Like, it's a lot of fun to play. And,
it's crazy to see those. I'm assuming the field of view looked like it was PC players with those videos just flying, and then you know, of course, at the end slamming into the pillar and dying. They're going so fast. It just doesn't even look like it should be possible.
That's it. Like Dawnblade is officially faster than a Sparrow.
Yes, like, that seems like maybe that might get tweaked a bit.
Possibly, yeah.
It is great though.
I mean, I want it to be
jumps adjusted. I'm going to tell you that.
Yes, yeah.
Oh yeah, I think they needed it in D2 for sure. It's only fair. I enjoy a bit of Warlock skating. I gotta say, I don't play too much Warlock these days, but I'm considering it. Like with how they play right now.
Well, plus it's the only way you can get our garrison back, man. It's their new dodge ability, right?
That has to. We just bring the garrison back. Thank you.
I miss the garrison almost as much as I miss my No Land Beyond.
I'd like to see
that
that
thing.
Garrison, Bones of AO. Those are two I'd really like to see personally.
As long as the warlocks get a real movement exotic, I'm fine with it.
Yeah. How are the transversive steps though with the current warlock? I'm guessing they're probably
I haven't tried them yet
good with the movement speed.
I have read that some testing that was done on different exotic speed perks. A lot of them don't stack anymore. And they all, no matter what you're using, I think the max boost caps out at like 13%.
Right.
So not anything crazy significant. And I think Mida, because they changed some of the Mida speed boosts and how those work. If you've got Mida equipped, I don't think it stacks with anything now, so you're going to have a max of like 10%.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense though, doesn't it? Like,
yeah.
Otherwise,
you break the game.
Potentially end up with some some pretty crazy builds.
What do you guys think? We haven't talked a whole lot about movement now that we are, though. From what I've seen and people researching and breaking this down, going into it, we weren't exactly sure what the mobility change was going to be, but now that they've kind of explained it in the patch notes and we played it, I think the consensus of understanding is that sprint speed has not changed.
No, it hasn't.
It's jump, I guess inertia, and your strafe, and what else changed? I don't know the best way to explain this. Mostly the speed
super?
at which you can strafe is what a mobility is affecting, which has always been the case, right?
Yeah.
They just made it sound like it would be super substantial. I mean, they said the higher, the more you'll notice, the higher your mobility stat. And I guess I just assumed it was going to affect sprint now. And
I think everybody did, but it doesn't.
Yeah. And I guess as an afterthought, I could see, with all the other changes, how much complexity that might add to a character build. Changing your sprint speed, right? Because it almost has to. Like, the more I thought, I'm like, really, it didn't change it? And then I'm just thinking about it, and I'm like, the more I thought about it, it's like, man, if people are sprinting at different speeds and not just like at a base go fast speed now, that could really be hard to balance. But I do wish. I mean, it's still not a substantial stat. I'm still not going to put much into it, if any, even probably still the way it is now.
Yeah, that's it. I think it's like there's a few things that like are interacting with each other here as well, isn't there? Because like perhaps it's kind of like a balance thing around, like keeping mods viable, like certain types of mods as well. Because like, if mobility was just the in thing, you could instantly just like undo all of the work on like other mods and other like possibilities, and potentially make some kind of like ugly decision making as well as a player, between like, do I want to reload this weapon quickly? Do I want to get my grenade cooldown fast? Or do I want to sprint faster? A kind of strange like mix of things to decide between, right? It definitely doesn't help player fantasy like too much if you have to like make too many of those decisions. So perhaps that feeds into it a little bit as well, like until they get, mods 2.0 sort of like out, presumably that will see like enough fundamental change where like some of these issues kind of like fade away a little bit.
I just
that's one of the things that I'm not keen on with the mod system in general.
For mobility not to affect sprint speed, which is what you're doing like 90% of the time is sprinting.
It definitely would add that layer of complexity to it, even for from the player standpoint of a reason to put points into it. And because of that, I agree. It still lacks being substantial, a substantial choice. Totally. So I don't know. It's
There's something else I just thought of as well. Like they intentionally balance the sprint speed of like Sentinel what was it, Sentinel, Arc Strike, all of the melee supers.
Yes, yeah.
So perhaps that feeds into it as well. You know, they didn't want a situation where a mod might potentially break that, right? And one character be able to, you know, sprint in a super at a crazy speed versus someone else. I don't know. I guess there are a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of different things going off that influence each other, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's definitely, like you said, hopefully mods 2.0 and some other things will make that point slot more viable. But
yeah.
for the time being, I still see myself. I mean, even in the Crucible, being able to strafe back and forth quicker is nice. But I mean, if I have to put 8 or 9 points into it to even see a decent change, I probably still am not going to put very many points into it, you know?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's probably I mean, out of all of those patch notes and all the changes, that's probably one of the few things that was a little bit lackluster, especially the way that they kind of described what it was going to be. It really seemed like it was going to have some sort of substantial substance to it, you know?
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
Yeah. Anyways, is there anything else we missed that happened this week? Because I would like to, you know, before we move on to the next section, at least from Houndish, because I know you've dissected it quite a bit just in the last couple days. Again, we're recording on Thursday, but is there any other little tidbits that we missed before we do like a little overall thoughts of what we think this patch has done for Destiny and
I don't think there are any major things we haven't touched on, right? Not that I'm aware of. I think we loosely touched on everything. Like as we've said, there is a lot, right? And we're still kind of all getting our heads around it in terms of gameplay as well. So the voyage of discovery with this update, like I think it's far from over. We've got obviously a weekend of trials, which is going to be pretty interesting, and then like the future of like the sort of sandbox is going to be quite intriguing as well because of, you know, what they've done with Vigilance Wing, which I think is, well, very much intentional. Perhaps kind of an experiment. It's going to be interesting to see what they do because, you know, Josh Hammock said they don't want to nerf weapons in D2. They want to bring things up, right? To compete. So I'm curious to see what happens there, like with the Vigilance. That's, in terms of like sandbox and PvP, I think that's pretty much the most intriguing thing right now for me, at least.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do with that gun. Especially like you said, after he said in that, even in the commentary, the development video, that they did it in the past and they don't really want to bring things back down anymore. It will be definitely interesting to see. I mean, what are your overall thoughts with this patch and like the future of Destiny? I mean, stepping stone, step in the right direction. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a step in the right direction. Like it's one of the, you know, it's an update that feels like there's been enough substantial positive change in the game. You know, to where it feels like the cadence of like quality, good improvements and the kind of things that like people really have wanted to see. I feel like that's beginning now, right? Like we've had this update, we've got May coming up, which is going to be another huge update to the game with the DLC and everything. And that's, I mean, it's just around the corner. As Destiny players, it kind of feels like a million miles away, but it isn't, right? Like, it is literally on our doorstep now. So I think the game is, you know, going in a better direction. I think the sandbox in general that we have right now in D2 it's the best that it's been. Like, quick play PvP wise, it's fun, it's more action packed, it's more interesting. PvE, more power is good, you know, like movement is good. Like across the board, I don't think we can really complain about anything sandbox wise. And, you know, getting the ball rolling on like Nightfall specific rewards, and hopefully down the road we'll get strike specific loot in general. I think that's going to be a big thing, you know, for the heroic strike playlist as well as modifiers and stuff. Yeah, man, if they carry on, I think it's all positive. Like, I think that's how I described it yesterday. Like, it's, you know, there's been a lot of updates where people can really pick at them and say, well, you didn't do this too well, or this was a bit lackluster, or this was completely broken, right? That kind of sounds like super negative. But yeah, the way I'd kind of like describe this one is like the shortcomings are outweighed by progress, right? Like noticeably. So yeah, I'm feeling good about the game. Bungie keep taking the right steps. We're going places. Like start looking at the loot across the board. You know, possibly things like random rolls, some kind of randomization, the mod system. Yeah, man. I think we're going places. I feel more positive about D2 than I have felt for quite a few months at this point.
Yeah, and it's I agree. It's easy to gloss over the fact. I mean, a couple different things is this is a big update, a lot of changes to the sandbox, and so far, a couple days in, it's being received pretty well. And the other thing it's easy to gloss over once we get something like this is that they did it for us. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I know they're they have things on their end, they're designing the game, in a way that they want to design as well and create. But we've been asking for this for some time now, and they have given it to us.
Absolutely.
And, I mean, that's a big deal, and it's especially as substantial as it is, as far as the way it's changing the feel of Destiny 2 and what the sandbox feels like now, and how we're faster and more powerful. And I don't know, that's a big deal to me, and I think to a lot of people, that we acknowledge that they've done that. And, like you said, we all know one of the core end game replayability things in the game right now is the loot and the incentive and the drive to want to keep playing and get the loot and different things like that. And I think to be realistic, they know that, and this is an update they could push out in this time frame. I think, like you said, we've got some substantial stuff coming in May, and I think by fall, I would hope and imagine on their timeline, they're going to address some of those replayability things like loot, like you mentioned, possible random rolls. Maybe that'll be depth in the Masterwork system. Maybe that'll be the mods, those things combined. I think, obviously that's on their radar, and hopefully we get something to address that by the fall, and I think them giving us all this shows how much they're listening.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely a step in the right direction. To sum up all my rambling there, but I agree with you. It's definitely a step. We may want more right now, like we always do, but I think it's definitely more than a step in the right direction for sure.
Totally, man.
Cyborg, what do you think, man?
It's all positive movement to the game that we want to play. I think the scale of this patch is a little underwhelming for its timing. I think the problem that I've always had with how Bungie improves their games is it's so incremental and drawn out. And we do have to understand, like, development is a complicated process, and Destiny, let's face it, is a really complicated game underneath. There's so many freaking variables that they have to manage. They just can't move quick enough. And frankly, this patch should have been here in November. It's nothing that is in this patch is stuff that was not identified 6 months ago.
Right. No,
and
I
if
agree.
Bungie want to keep up with what people expect out of developers in today's universe, and B, keep their fans of the game happy, they have to figure out how to do stuff like this and be more nimble. And I think that's something that their studios struggle with since day one.
Well, yeah, and I mean, they told us, however long ago that we would get regular sandbox updates with Destiny, So this one was a little bit different in that...
and we've had two in 6 months.
And I guess you could look at it as an angle of, like, Destiny has been in a very interesting place, Destiny 2, for the last many months. They pretty much knew they had to substantially change the way the game felt. So it wasn't your typical sandbox update and shakeup. But I agree with you. I mean, it shows they're listening. But
it does.
Yeah, I mean,
and I'm just looking
definitely
at it
wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt for them to have been able to get it out quicker? Because like you
I'm
said,
playing a little devil's
how long
advocate
has the
here.
community? Well, how long has the community, like you said, been pointing these particular things out?
Right. I mean,
so,
I
like you said,
I could have told you without a doubt, and most players that play Destiny 1 would have told you without a doubt, not only after the beta, but after a week of playing Destiny 2, that they had to make changes to abilities. It was the most obvious and noticed problem that people had with Destiny 2, even in the beta. And they said, no, trust us, trust us. All right, we trust them. And it comes out, we're just like, yeah, this doesn't feel as fun. And it literally took them 6 months to even begin to cross that bridge. And
I think I feel like there are like a few reasons that this is happening. Like personally, I mean, some of this is speculation, but like I agree. You know, when you say like Bungie say, nah, this is like trust us. Like we think this is what's best. I think there's an element of stubbornness from Bungie,
sure,
especially on the top end, that's possibly causing like, you know, what externally looks like, you know, sometimes it looks kind of mismanaged to where you end up in these situations where it's like the community says this and Bungie say, well, give it a little try, like, you know, stick with it. And then, you know,
which there's merit to
again,
that.
like full cycle.
There is merit to that.
Yeah, that's,
you know,
that's it. Absolutely.
got to give it a shot.
But I think there can also be, I think with Bungie, there can also be a degree of, we know what's best for you, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that has, you know, quite frankly, bitten them in the ass is the fact that they probably spent like the first couple of months saying, you know, well, people have burned through the content, you know, they always like, people always like to complain once they've done that. And there was probably some stubbornness there that quite frankly, like held them back.
Yeah.
But I think there are a lot of like examples of like what to me look like development struggles with this game. You know, if you look at the amount of bugs that we've seen in the game, you know, like, I mean,
That's
this
definitely
is
been abnormal with Destiny 2. It's crazy how many we've seen, right?
Yeah, that's it. And it's, you know, we're not trying to say it's not a big and complicated beast, right? But at the same time, there has been a lot of issues. And then if you look at some of the fixes for the game, there's quite a lot of what feels like patching up. So, you know, nightfall scoring and modifiers not applied in the UI of the strikes. They're applied via a card. Like, that's a separate thing. Like, is there a technical issue there? 8-player rumble. Again, we spoke about this before. You know, perhaps there are limits there. We've got memory issues in the raid, right? I think quite a few things here could just be the result of this is what happens when you build a game this big in less than 2 years and you don't have a lot of time to bug fix and kind of get your code base and or whatever it is in the engine, you know, get that stuff ironed out.
Yeah.
And it feels like that right now is a big struggle for Bungie. I mean, we've seen bugs in this update that had to disable the, you know, the map repetition stuff again. So I personally think it looks like there are a number of things kind of inhibiting Bungie in terms of development. But that is, I mean, it is speculation, but it's based on, you know, we've seen quite a lot of issues with the game, right?
Yeah. And it's their, you know, that is their burden to shoulder, you know, to produce a successful product. And as always, our perspective is, you know, we want them to succeed in that. You know, obviously, we love Bungie as a studio. We love the people that work there. We love the games that they produce. We want them to improve these things and to produce successful games that keep us engaged and are a lot of fun. But like you said, there's obviously a level of stubbornness, and I think that is starting to shake up. I think we're definitely seeing the them be, you know, more open to what real feedback from the community is. You know, it's tough when you're a AAA developer because there's this cacophony of just nastiness that's always going to come. And how do you kind of get through all that fog and see real feedback for what it is? How do you get past the same jerk that's always going to post reduce TTK on every single Twitter post? You know, like, it's tough. So they've got their work cut out for them. And so my attitude is like, I'm really happy that we got these changes, just because it has made the game more fun and engaging at this time. And I was able to grab some people and get them to play Destiny a little bit again. And it's encouraging, but we're not going to really see significant improvement in the community probably at least until May. This isn't a bring everybody back thing, but I don't think anybody thought it would be. But I think it sets them up.
This is definitely just a building block. Yeah.
I think it sets them up for
That's
it.
it.
And I think another piece of it too is we all thought going into Destiny 2, as far as content, live events, and things like that,
We just had such
they
high
would have
hopes,
it
man.
set.
Yeah,
They would have it set after Destiny 1.
Yeah.
Like they knew what they needed to do, and they'd have a pretty good plan in place. And we're kind of going through some of those same motions again. And it's I've been playing a lot of Fortnite too, and it's cool to turn on my console and have an update for that game every Thursday. But the thing we have to remember too is what you mentioned before, Cyborg. I'm not saying Fortnite isn't a complex game. There's an angle there. They're adding a shotgun. They're adding a mode, and they do add some patch notes and tweak some things. But I don't want to downplay it. I don't think it isn't right of us to not maybe ask the same thing of Bungie. But it's Bungie can do it many different ways. Even if, like I tweeted out a couple weeks ago, even if Xur randomly one weekend a month just has something new. There's very subtle ways to excite the community. It doesn't have to be like we were just talking about this week at my work. It's like you have this mentality of like, okay, I want to start working out again. I need to do it 5 days a week, all or nothing. When you really could just start at like 2 days a week. So it's like, just put little nuggets in there of just little things that could excite us that aren't maybe so substantial that you'd have to, chat it over in meetings for 2 months.
Well, it's hard. To your point, it's hard to deal with the people that say it's a dead game when it's not a living game. Right. When patches are every 3 months or whatever, which I'm not saying like we haven't seen continuous improvement in the game for several months here, but to your point, it would be nice to see more continuous improvement, development, and life in the game than having to, look, guys, like we're having to wait. You realize like 5 months in between DLCs again? Like, how did that happen again? Why are we waiting 5 or 6 months in between DLCs again? I mean, that's a whole different problem. And it is what it is now, but God, we've seen this all before. So it's so hard to defend the thing that you love. It's, I hate to say it, but it's that old, cheating boyfriend thing. It's like, yeah, he's back at it again, like you should have known better. It is what it is, man.
Yeah. And it is very important to acknowledge too, though, what Barrett and team's been doing since November. How many times have we pointed out they said they were going to give us communication in the past, and then they didn't follow through. They have.
They're very consistent.
There's no doubt about it. Since November, they have followed through with the communication.
I agree.
It may have taken till now to get this Go Fast update, but at least they've opened up the doors and we're getting tons of communication. The TWABs have been meaty. I mean, it's just like the TWAB this week. I was expecting, okay, Go Fast update dropped. They're just going to like summarize what happened this week. But then they even threw in the little nugget of what we're going to see, a little piece of 1.2.
Yeah.
So it's nice that it's definitely a big deal, and it's nice
they're
that
keeping it coming.
They're following through with the communication.
They're doing what they said they're going to do, and that's why I feel fine continuing to support the game, That has gotten me this far. So,
and I think like they put a lot on the table, like in terms of the updates that they have brought in outside of DLC. I know it's taken, a little too long, and some things haven't kind of hit the mark, but they've outlined a lot of stuff that they want to do in the game. But it's worth remembering as well that the May DLC is the first like actual expansion content where Bungie have had some kind of scope, right? Like time-wise, to take on feedback and make improvements. I'm not saying that, this is going to be some insane expansion to the game, but it feels like one of the more substantial opportunities. And another thing to remember is when you put all of these changes that we have been given, like on the table, you still have to sell your DLC somehow. And because of the nature of a release like that, we simply don't know what that DLC could entail. I think most of us aren't anticipating it being, the big fix, right? Or bringing in a load of the features that we really want. But I think it's possible we could see, some stuff that we're not expecting to see yet, right? Mm-hmm. Inside of this May update. And once again, like that stuff they just cannot like talk about until it's time. And they also need to use it to a degree to sell this DLC because, regardless of the fact that this franchise is big, like live revenue and DLC revenue, like moving out of like this initial season pass is going to be a big focus for them. Like financially, they need to make sure they secure that. Just because Curse of Osiris was stronger than, Dark Below, it's not necessarily that significant, beyond like this current like release structure with the season pass, because they know that there are a lot of people who are going to give them a hard time, right? Like trying to sell to those people now. And I mean, I know a lot of people will come back when they see the right things. But I personally have faith that Bungie have seen this for a long time and they know that there has to be like some substantial stuff to draw people in with this next DLC. And that's kind of like my hope as far as content goes.
Yeah, and that's been my one consolation of the fact that we are waiting this long for DLC, that they straight up said like, yeah, we're gonna push this to May a little bit because we really want to take your feedback from Curse of Osiris. So, I want to temper my expectations, but I have really high hopes that Bungie will come through and do something at the caliber that I know they're capable of. Like really deliver on some of the stuff that I've been thirsting for since Rise of Iron. You know what I mean? So,
absolutely.
I mean, that would just really make my day. Like, as a longtime Destiny player, if they could just really bring it in May, I would just be jubilant. So, no pressure, guys.
That's it. Hopefully we'll get that. I mean, the one real positive is like the cadence of content, like updates and discussion about Destiny. Like, I think the worst is behind us. Like, personally,
I like to think the same.
I really do think that.
Yeah, that's a good statement, man.
Maybe I'm being too hopeful, but
I don't think so. I think you're right.
But Bungie, I hope I'm not.
Yeah. Don't prove us wrong. Prove us right.
Yeah, man. Exactly, dude.
Come on.
We know they can do it. We know.
Absolutely. I mean, we talk about this, but there's so many talented people there. The capability is absolutely there. So, and they've done amazing things. Yeah. They've created amazing experiences for the players. So I all this aside and all the criticisms aside, like I have confidence in the people. Let's see if the process will do what it's supposed to do.
I did see a post the other day that I think I've seen this before, but they said it's when people aren't complaining that then they should work. People are passionate about this franchise, and they want to be involved in it, and they want to play it, and they want to support it. And whether some people get more salty than others, that bottom line is people want to play this game, they want to love it, and it's there. The community's there. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like I mean, this is the reference point that I have, right? But over the past week, like looking at YouTube, looking at like the viewership, seeing, the viewership on Twitch and some of those guys coming back and streaming. The one thing that is still true is that there is still like interest in this game. Like the level of intrigue from players, whether they're people who've completely quit for now or whatever, is like, it's so substantially high. Like, this is the boon that Bungie have at this point, like what they've created here is literally what is keeping them at this point, like going. Of course, they can take control of that again, But
right.
like, I
they're
think
in
it
that
just
window
speaks
where
to
they need to take control of it, right?
Yeah, that's it. But I think it speaks to the potency of the franchise to players, you know, the fact that like so many people return just to see what's going on. Like, and as someone who does news content as well, you know, people still watch that stuff. People still want to know, even if they want to poke fun at it a little bit, you know. At the end of the day,
they're watching
people,
it. Yep.
yeah, people are waiting. People still want it.
Yeah, I was laughing
Definitely.
on Twitter because I don't remember who it was, but somebody was talking about I think it was Fizzle. So was it?
Right.
He was talking about on Twitter how in the DTG mod they have this phenomena, they call them like tourists, I think. And it's literally people who haven't played the game in forever, but they're just there to kind of like watch the world burn, you know? Like, and they'll say it like, I haven't played this game in months. I'm just here to watch the show, you know? And it's really like, it's not a positive behavior, but it's such a thing that they have a term for it, you know? But either way, it goes to the point. Like, it's such a phenomenon. It has such potency that people that aren't even playing the game, they care enough to know what's happening. You know,
exactly. Yeah, whether they realize it or not, deep down, they were a player at one point, and
there's still a connection there. You know.
Yep.
Oh,
it's kind of like, for lack of a better, you know, analogy, like those people that will, you know, break up with somebody and they still stalk them on Facebook for years, you know, like,
right. Yeah.
It's still there.
Not
like, you may hate
it.
them, but you're still watching them.
Yeah, this is it. And like, you know, I think for those people as well, although they may be the saltier, like, folks in general, like, ultimately that's the reason they're still there. It's like, they still want the game to be good. Despite the things they say, they're still looking for, you know, Destiny to be like home again, to be the version of Destiny they want it to be. Because quite frankly, there isn't an alternative for Destiny.
There's not much.
You know? Like,
there's
other games that do like the similar things, but Destiny is Destiny, right? The same way that Halo was Halo, like GTA is GTA. Like, you can emulate or you can, you know, copy certain elements, but you're either going to create your own thing that people recognize. Like, you could say Monster Hunter, right? Like, you're either going to do that or you're going to create something kind of unforgettable, like, it's kind of forgettable, sorry.
Yeah. Or something that doesn't have the staying power, you know?
Yeah.
There's plenty of games that are great, and they, you know, they have a big bang and then you never see it again. Destiny is different in that it had that staying power and that community that was created that lives, you know, independently of everything else. That was what made Destiny unique. You know, outside of whatever they created in software, it's more than that to people. So that, I think that is what, for, you know, to Bungie's great fortune is keeping this game alive.
Yeah, totally, man.
Well, I think we went far enough down the rabbit hole for this show, gentlemen.
I think so.
Plenty to talk about.
As we do. Normally this time of the show we do Dirt Fam Discourse, but of course we've gone long as promised. So we'll have some discourse for you guys next week. But if you would like to give us your feedback on the Go Fast update, we'd love to hear it. You can send us an email, destinyresetpodcast@gmail.com, or leave us a SpeakPipe, speakpipe.com/destinyreset. Let us know what you think about going fast and all the different changes that we've seen this week and how you feel playing it. We'd love to hear your feedback. Do we have any patrons this week?
We do. Mr. Facebook himself messaged us back.
About time.
Sir B. Leslie, thank you so much for the support.
He became a patron, I think, like months and months ago. But never checked his
We probably
messages.
could have threw his gamer tag, but guys, we got to make sure. We do not want to get your gamer tag wrong. So check your Patreon messages. Sir B. Leslie, thank you again. We really appreciate the support.
Yep, but if you're not a patron and you want to know more about that, go to patreon.com/destinyreset, where as little For as little as $1 a month, you can support the production budget of the show. We appreciate all of our supporters, our patrons, and everyone else in between. When you become a patron, you get a shout out on the podcast, you get your gamer tag posted on the website, and you also get an invitation to our Discord channel just for Dirt Fan patrons and supporters. You can also, if you don't want to do the whole monthly deal, if you just want to drop us a one-time dollar tip or however much, you can do that too. We've got a link to our PayPal on the website. Go check that out. I think we got a tip just recently, didn't we? And we need to pull their gamer tag. Thank you for doing that as well.
Yes.
And yeah, that's the show this week.
That's a wrap. Almost.
Sweet. Houndish.
Houndish?
Tell people where they can find you.
You can find me on YouTube, so you can just search for Houndish. Literally, it's spelled exactly how it sounds. And you'll probably find me. Also on on Twitter at xHoundishX with all the X's, because Captain Noob, right?
Of course.
And, maybe occasionally on Twitch as well.
Very nice.
But I appreciate it, guys. Thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, thanks so much, dude. Maybe we can have a... this was such a great time to have you on. We kind of teased that you were coming on several months ago, and... maybe after the update is settled in a bit more, you have to visit again and let us know your overall thoughts a few more weeks in, or a month or so.
Sounds good.
Definitely.
Air Knight, tell people where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at the AER0KNIGHT, and Twitch and YouTube.
Perfect.
It is AER0KNIGHT.
You can find me at CyborgSasquatch on Twitter, and now on Mixer. I've made the move.
Very nice. You've moved.
Mixer.com/CyborgSasquatch. I enjoyed my time on Twitch. I appreciate everybody that supported me last year when I started streaming, but Mixer is looking to be a really awesome platform. It's smaller, but I see it as a little more intimate, and I got nothing to lose. Got some cool friends that are going over there too. So if you don't mind, come drop me a follow and give me a watch on Mixer. When you see me, I should be streaming a few times a week in the evenings, just doing variety stuff, Destiny and other games as well. Come hang out. Love to see you there. You can find us
Very cool.
at Destiny Reset on Twitter, and also on the World Wide Web at www.destinyresetpodcast.com. That's your source for all things DRP, including links to subscribe on your favorite podcast app of choice. As always, thank you for your iTunes reviews. We have any new ones this week?
No new ones this week. No new ones this week.
Breaking my heart.
This is where Arrow thanks you all for the 150 something we have, and Cyborg challenges you to leave some more.
Exactly. You got it.
That's usually the gist of it. But anyways, thanks again, Houndish. Guys, seriously, call me a fanboy, call me whatever you want, but when I hit my subscriptions button and I see my list of new videos, if Houndish has one, that's the one I go to
got
first.
Good content.
The dude's the dude's content is great. You're a Dirt Fam listener, Destiny Reset podcast listener. You don't like constructive, positive feedback, and that's exactly what he does. So definitely check it out. Great stuff. So, dude, thanks so much, man. This has been great to finally get you on the show.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, guys. Really appreciate it. Awesome chatting with you guys.
Enjoy the rest of your morning.
Yeah, your morning. We're gonna do a few things and go to sleep.
Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might be doing the same kind of thing, to be honest.
Yeah. We kind of did. We make you get up a little early for this, possibly.
Just
a tad bit, right?
It keeps you on your feet.
That's what I was gonna say. We'll you definitely have an invitation back on the show, but that's pending. You're willing to get up early, and we can coordinate this time change again.
Oh yeah, we can figure it out, man. I'd love to come back sometime.
You know what? It is cool though. It's easy to gloss over this as well, but I mean, we are literally across the world from each other, and we're sitting here chatting about Destiny, something we all enjoy. Right. It's really pretty cool thing if you think about
Absolutely.
Totally. It's always been one of the special things about Destiny.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I think that's a good note to end on. Fantastic episode. Until next week, have fun playing Destiny 2, and take care, Guardians.